重开。
哎，开始了。
开始了。
啊，
绿色的。
现在绿色的。现在也没有遗失。
OK。那我用我的看有没有正常。我就一直开着。
到电。
反正我现在也没电话。
是刚刚的呢。我们一直没有换掉。不要这样，不要换。
这个吗？对。
这样嘞。就你啊。我们重启。
好了 ，PD。可以啊。
好了。
还有电吗？哇，这边冲。断了就看得到了。要重新看一次。
再看一次剧情。
好，大家再来看一次剧情。
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
247。
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-bending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
我好像定格，我以为又当掉了。OK， 你随时帮我看一下有没有？你看我们是不是又定格的感觉？我没有动。
你好像定格了。
对啊，我以为又当掉了。
你看先走去，先找他自己走。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
他说先去会议室。
对。
是不是有点空？
你转慢一点，转。对，你转慢一点。
会议室。看一下，看会不会触发一些东西。哦，可以开门了。
对，它只有左键。
那它有冲刺吗？
没有，就这样。
我靠！
我转好大。喂，那你的？
我不知道。我往前走。会议室，我让我调一下，好灵哦！天啊！
调起来怎么办？
可是有时候觉得没有很。 看的人应该超头晕的。
对啊，
这个移动好快。
但是移动很快。不过你不要转那么大，就转小一点。
我从哪里来的？
往这边走。啊。
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
你先照他走，你先。
他如果走这边会怎样？
他们每个都有剧情，所以每个都要走。
他为什么要先照着他走？为什么要先照着他走？
你可以，我不知道，你先照他走啊。
可是我很叛逆啊。
没事啊，反正等下都要走到。
等下都要走到。
对啊，等下都会走到。
明天早上去上课吗？哎，会吧？
怎么可能？
这个
上什么课呢？
会是。
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
懂。就是介绍，蛮有趣的。
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track. There was nothing here. No choice to make, no path to follow, just an empty broom closet. No reason to still be here. It was baffling that Stanley was still just sitting in the broom closet. He wasn't even doing anything. At least if there was something to interact with, he'd be justified in some way. As it is, he's literally just standing there doing sweet FA.
Hey. Hey. 我又再回来，他会怎样？
Are you really still in the broom closet? Standing around doing nothing? Why? Please offer me some explanation here. I'm genuinely confused. You do realize there's no choice or anything in here, right? If I'd said Stanley walked past the broom closet, at least you would have had a reason for exploring it to find out. But it didn't even occur to me because literally this closet is of absolutely no significance to the story whatsoever. I never would have thought to mention it.
我记得还会崩溃的样子，
是吗？
对。
Maybe to you this is somehow its own branching path. Maybe when you go talk about this with your friends, you'll say, "Oh, did you get the broom closet ending? The broom closet ending was my favorite." I hope your friends find this concerning.
东西有点小声。
Stanley was fat and ugly and really wasted. He probably only got the job because of a family connection. That's how stupid he is. That or with drug money. Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs.
直接骂人啊，靠背啊！直接骂人。对啊，我就
Well, I've come to a very definite conclusion about what's going on right now. You're dead. You got to this broom closet, explored it a bit, and were just about to leave because there's nothing here, when a physical malady of some sort shut down your central nervous system and you collapsed on the keyboard. Well, in a situation like this, the responsible thing is to alert someone nearby so as to ensure that your body is taken care of before it begins to decompose. Hello? Anyone who happens to be nearby? The person at this computer is dead. He or she has fallen prey to any number of your countless human physiological vulnerabilities. It's indicative of the long-term sustainability of your species. Please remove their corpse from the area and instruct another human to take their place at the computer, making sure they understand basic first-person video game mechanics and filling them in on the history of narrative tropes in video gaming, so that the irony and insightful commentary of this game is not lost on them. All right, when you've done that, just step out into the hallway.
还要继续吗？
他有点无奈，说你只会做喇叭。
我记得好像到这里就没了。
是吗？
还是再等一下，不然我再救给他一次。
Ah, second player. It's good to have you on board. I guarantee you can't do any worse than the person who came before you.
假装，
很烦他。
假装。哎呀，我又回来了。
You too? Unbelievable. And at the mercy
我
of
玩
an
这玩
entire
这个晚上
species
就
of
好了。
invalids. Perhaps there's a monkey nearby you can hand the controls to. A fish? Fungus? Look, you can hammer out the details. I'm not particularly picky. I'll just be waiting for when you're ready to pick up the story
对
again.
对，这是处罚吧？
但应该结束了吧？
不能没了，我猜可能。
我再回去一次就好。
那为什么不行？结束。
他应该已经放弃了。你不知道要这样玩吗？
我不知道，因为
就是要这样玩。
等下还会走很多次。
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
我去找他。
是吗？
等下还有第二次、第三次。
哦，好吧。
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number. 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
284，故意打错，我故意打错。
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845. Stanley simply began enter 2845.
他一直他直接红字。
Forgot, but it turns out that the panel's emergency override came on, and the door just opened all by itself. And Stanley got the hell along with the story. Well, whoop-de-doo.
喂，你就打284，你直接打284。
等一下，
打284。
哪边门开了？
哦，你打284。
这里啊。
他已经帮你开好了，对吧？
还有打，就是他直接帮你开的这样。
客人直接帮你开的。
最好玩的大物件。
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
你的网络比较碎。
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
我们等下再走。
真的吗？
对，我们等下再走。
等下有机会。
等下有，还有很多机会。我先照上去。
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Once for all.
是没有电了，就开启。
哦。
没有电。酷伟那个场景。
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it...
关掉了。你把它关掉。
我把它关了。
嗯。
那这现在怎么办？
就这样。
本来就这样。
对。按开关。
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door. Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
这全部了吗？这一个结局了吗？
对。你也闪退了。
哎，结局完就闪退了。
你也闪退了。
我要重来吗？
你就重开嘛，反正那个这个站，然后就回到办公室。
哦。
你也闪退了。
还闪退？
我不知道他是故意的还是怎样哎、应该不是
故意关你游戏哦？
应该不会吧？
所以我要重来吗？全部？
不用啊，你刚刚那个已经算一个了。
我就继续，要开始。
嗯。
要开始不就从头了吗？
对啊，因为那个
就算一个结局了。
我想说这是闪退问题，所以我又回去玩了一次。对，然后走过去，他又回到。
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
这是 skip 了。
skip 了。
哦，那我现在可以开始乱玩。
所以你要走第二次，刚不是说。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
我想要自己玩自己的。
可是你还没那个啊，你的按还没按过啊。
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
为什么要把按玩掉啊？
你要先走那个吗？不然先走主要的。
那我按完掉又过一个结局这样。
啊，我想说是应该先过。啊，不然你走后面来就好看。
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
没有，这应该要给观众选要走哪边。
Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in. Yes, really, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings. Really worth it. At this point, Stanley's obsession with this room bordered on creepy and reflected poorly on his overall personality. It's possible that this is why everyone left. Stanley sat around waiting for more dialogue, but when a long time had passed and there was no more, he decided that the game was trying to send him a message.
还有吗？
他是不想讲。
他不想讲了吗？我记得这游戏还有一个成就是5年，你5年没有开这个游戏会获得一个。
5年没有开游戏。
对，会获得，他有旁白会跟你说5年怎样的，超酷的，最难是他讲最难解的成就，应该是没了，走了。
没了。
But at last, he'd had enough of the amazing room and took the first open door on his left to get back to business. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
你没有玩在这里，
我就先走主要。
这也是主要，但是每一条都可以走啊。
我想先找他讲。
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her. But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you're very powerful.
死了，
干，
死了，
重来了。
All of his co-workers were gone.
重来了。
What could it mean?
我是前提。
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
我先走他的。
先做完他，看看为什么。
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Hoping he might come into a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
对。OK。
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being exhibited? Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming New Age music.
他不开门，
不会，还等下听完音乐。
怎样了？不要放音。
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway. Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe it couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all. Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are set to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say 2 minutes. Now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left, but I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock, why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones, or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? One soul? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble. This is not a challenge. It's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first.
再见员工42千。
Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left.
Fuck!
30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing.
Fuck!
Just you
Oh,
being broken to
I
pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life? Or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count.
剩10秒了，来不及了。
All a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say, happy ever up.
我说，你是玩到这样吗？
真的很烦，可是我不知道怎么破啊，他是故意不让你破。
应该是不故意不让你破，应该这样有一个结局。这是现在的时间吗？
你跟我怀疑的一样，那时候我玩的时候7点半我就发生，因为我是中午大概11点多玩。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
所以你接下来
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
然后我就先不要。
我要乱玩。
你看走 S P。
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow, yes, this room. What a beautiful room. What a gorgeous... But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her. This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into your life. She's been waiting. That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this. To reach out to her. If you can truly place your faith in another, then pick up the phone. As Stanley picked up the phone, a white light engulfed him, filling him not just with radiance, but with hope. Hope for a life reunited one... Wait. Oh, goodness. Stanley, did you just unplug the phone? No, that wasn't supposed to be a choice. How did you do that? You actually chose incorrectly. I didn't even know that was possible. Let me double check.
Have fun.
No, it's definitely here, clear as day. Stanley picks up the phone. He's taken to his apartment where he finds his wife, and the two pledge themselves to one another. Music comes in, fade to white, roll credits. Not picking up the phone is actually somehow an incorrect course of action. How is that even possible? None of these decisions were supposed to mean anything. I don't understand. How on earth are you making meaningful choices? What did you... Wait a second. Did I just see... No, that's not possible. I can't believe it. How had I not noticed it sooner? You're not Stanley. You're a real person. I can't believe I was so mistaken. This is why you've been able to make correct and incorrect choices. And to think I've been letting you run around in this game for so long. If you'd made any more wrong choices, you might have negated it entirely. It's as though you completely ignored even the most basic safety protocol for real-world decision-making. Or did you not grasp the severity of the situation? Well, I won't have that kind of risk on my watch. I'm going to stop the game for a moment so we can educate you properly on safe decision-making in the real world. Please observe this helpful instructional video.
Choice. Choice is the best part of being a real person, but if used incorrectly can also be the most dangerous. For example, in this scenario, a hypothetical real person named Stephen has a choice. He could spend years helping improve the quality of life for citizens of impoverished third world nations. Or he could systematically set fire to every orphan living in a 50-kilometer radius of his house. Which choice would you make? Remember that unlike here, the real world makes sense, and at no time should you make a choice that does not conform to rational logic. If you find yourself speaking with a person who does not make sense, in all likelihood, that person is not real. Allow the person to finish their thought, then provide an excuse why you cannot continue talking. Turn to a partner and practice saying, "My goodness, is it 4:30? I'm supposed to be having a back, sack, and crack." Excellent. Making choices on a regular basis is the best part to a healthy decision-making process. Most medical professionals recommend making at least 8 choices per day. Do you make more than 8? Less? And finally, if you begin to wonder if your choices are actually meaningful, or whether you'll ever make a significant contribution to the world, just remember that in the vast infiniteness of space, your thoughts and problems are materially insignificant, and the feeling should subside. At this time, your instructor will guide you in an exercise to test and reinforce the material covered in this video.
Welcome back. You may have noticed that this room has begun to deteriorate as a result of narrative contradiction. But not to worry. Now that you're properly informed on good decision-making, we're going to revisit a choice you made just a few minutes ago and see what the correct thing to do would have been. This way, please.
现在重走一次。
哦，如果我又拔掉会怎样？要走回去是吧？
对。
我不开了。
他不让你走，
应该是，应该。
说明说叫你走回正确的路吧。
可能哦。
回起来。
Now that we know your choices are meaningful, we can't have you jumping off the platform and dying. Imagine the main character dying senselessly after the story. That story would make no sense at all. We just need to get you home as soon as possible before the narrative contradiction gets any worse. Unfortunately, it seems this place is not well equipped to deal with reality.
就玩我们想要玩的，对。
我想全部走完。
走完不太可能吧？
这有机会啊。
会很麻烦。还有这样的？
今天走了办公室，这个意思？
就是要叫我去老板办公室啊，因为我刚才这边是捞掉。
Almost there. You'll take the door on the left, back to the correct ending. The story will have resolution once again, and you'll be home free in the real world. Now remember, all you need to do is behave exactly as Stanley would, but that means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back in the other direction. Perhaps we're not too late.
挡起来啊！那数字哦。
对啊，他直接爆掉了，这游戏爆掉了，这系统爆掉，好好。所以一样，可恶，不能再改了吗？
那不行了。
不能吗？算了，
不行。不行，你还告。
那怎么不讲话
？Oh, it's ruined. I can't believe, after everything we talked about, that my story, you've destroyed my work. Why? For what? What did you get out of that? What did you think was so special about seeing the game undone? Left here like so much garbage. It's worthless now. And what am I supposed to do? Even if there were a way to continue, would it be worth it? To know that my story is now incorrect? How can I go back to that? I can't erase that knowledge. I'll have to live with it forever, reliving its impossibility forever. I couldn't live that way. Is it better to shut the game down entirely? To willingly destroy all of my work? I don't know. What's the answer? What do I do? What do I do? What do I... No, I have to. I have to shut the game down.
这个结局了吗
I have to.
这一个结局。不是哎，那怎样？
I'm here. I'm still here. Here in this pile of rubbish. With you. You, who thought you were so clever. Now look where we are. My entire game is destroyed. It was the only thing in the world that's mine, and you ran it into the ground. What, did you think that would be funny? You just had to see? Didn't I impress upon you how important it was to be like Stanley? He actually knows how to do what I tell him to. He understands that if I say to do something, there's a damn good reason for it. That thought hadn't even occurred to you, had it? That there's a world outside of you? You're a child. Oh, my story. If you'd just gone through the door on the left, you would have seen it. There was a whole underground facility. You would have destroyed it and been victorious. It would have been so perfect. I worked so hard on it. I tried so hard. Behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
会不会故意呛我？说这次不让我开了。那不然我就是走楼下。
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
哎，我想知道楼下是怎样。
这关。哎，
变了。
变了。
我就说这是完全玩不完的。如果刚才右走右边，可能有不一样的事情。那我们是因为做了很多选择才变成那样的，对啊，所以每个改变一下又不同。
Stepping inside his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, until he saw the door with a voice receiver next to it. Surely behind this door lay all the answers to his questions.
Yes,
and beyond all probability, he knew the passcode. He had seen it on his boss's computer just last week. Night Shark 115. Was this the code to open the door? Would it still work? There was only one way to find out. Stanley had been trained never to speak up, but now he would draw from within himself the courage to face the unknown. He drew a sharp breath and then spoke the code.
我现在是要讲吗？啊，是什么东西？119。我现在。
Stanley spoke the code. Night Shark 115. He spoke it into the receiver, right there on the wall.
Night Shark 115.
I'm sorry, is there a problem? You didn't mishear me, did you?
不是，这不可能啊！
Speak the code into the
他应该是
receiver.
故意不让你
Otherwise,
讲
we
吧
can't get on with the story. This is
Whoa.
a step.
Night Shark 115.
Okay, fine. We're not gonna do
That's
it.
not
But you know
what-
what? It's pretty humiliating to bring you this far, only for you to suddenly
Well,
decide you
yeah.
have better things to do. I asked you for this one single thing, for your respect. The kind of respect Stanley shows for his choices. He knows what it means to take a story seriously. If you didn't want to see what I had to show you, then why did you come here? You had a choice, you know. You could have gone through the door on the right. You could have done whatever the hell you wanted over there. Why did you come this way? Speak. Say something to me. Explain yourself, you coward. When Stanley came to a set of two open
变
doors,
上第四
he
角。
entered the door on his left. Stanley? Hello? Are you... Is everything okay? Stanley, please. I need you to make a choice. I need you to walk through the door.
对，我
Are
又
you
过了一个
listening to
句子，
me? Can you hear me?
现在3个了。
Is everything all right? Stanley, this is important. The story needs you. It needs you to make a decision. It cannot
Yes, I can
exist
see it
without
too.
you. Do you understand me? Whatever choice you make is just fine. They're both correct. You cannot be
他就是
wrong
故
here.
意
We can work together. I'll
他不可能
accept
收得到
whatever
麦
you
克
do.
风，
I
如果我
simply
电
need
脑
you
没
to
有麦
take
克
that
风，
step forward, please.
他就是故意这样吧？
Choose.
对啊，
Do something. Anything.
而且他的游戏也没有说频道他的语音辨识吧，辨识你
I
讲什么。
need this. The story needs it. So, you hear me?
好可怜。
Are you there? You listening to this? Stanley, are you there? Okay. It's okay, I can wait. You need time to decide. Time to make sure your choice is correct. That is the best choice. That's all right. I'll wait for you to decide what's the right thing to do. Take as much time as you need.
没了，过了一个。那我们现在有现在还知道有2种，一个是接电话，一个接电话，一个是走 skip。你要这样。好。
Someone was following Stanley. He was sure of it. If he checked over his shoulder now, he would surely catch them. It was only a matter of time.
现在都不一样了，是不是？又要去做别的事了吗？因为搞不好不让我们走，他现在都不讲话了。有啊，他会说。
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
哦，这又很快的，怎么办？
Okay, I think we all know the drill by now. Blah, blah, blah. Dark secrets, the keypad, Stanley pushes some buttons. Oh, hey, look, it's a new passageway.
靠背，
Quelle surprise.
靠背。他在回答我，我想说他又要再唠叨一次。他这边也不讲话。
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
应该都走了吧。
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death. The door behind him was not shut. Stanley had the opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
作业已收到。
这样去啊？
不知道。
啊，死了！
啊，这结局这么快吗？还是没有？还是还有？
没有，
还有。哦。
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, it reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind. So he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
蹲下来了。
哎，蹲下来。
哦，不是差不多我死了吗？
没有哎。他们把你夹死了。
史丹利的寓言。
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish? When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
这是我看的那个结局。
我看一下那个地图。你不是从那边出来？
哎，要走这边吗？嗯，我这边要进去2个门。这样子。 就是游戏的
博物馆，
对游戏的那个，
这个游戏的博物馆，
对，维修室，是。 我们设置过一个史丹利在战场上与外星人战斗的结局，这样过于做作，而且有人指责是为了取悦那些喜欢射击游戏的玩家。哦，我想玩玩看。好吧，先生，我有个问题要问你，就是你今日什么解锁远邮件。我们发布了第2个预告片之后，我们让大家透过邮件给解说人提问题。公寓的计时器，在之前一个版本有一个选择会进入公寓的结局，这里的计时器会给你15秒来接电话，要是不接，就这个了吧？行吧。两个字只在展示，不接就会变成离开那样子。2个选择，通风口，还有通风口哦。
第1个选择是听从不违反到休息室。那在写什么？第1个入口是。
没有，只是就是写说你有4种嘛，就光这个场景有4种选择。
通风口。
进维修室，我也没有去到维修室，还是有啊，就是2个门的那个啦，是吗？2个门，是做升降梯的那个，
是吗？
这不是看起来像维修室？衰弱结局，这是我。旁白将会描述这些，
所以你应该没玩到。
我不知道这个是没玩到还是他说，
应该是还没玩到。
那他怎么爆雷我？他说早期版本呢、
他有早期版本。
以前我们设计过一个结局，只有当玩家从确认开始才会引发。
有。
就不知道他讲的是
知道怎么回事。
做完了吗？倒数计时早期版本，倒数计时的早期版本。
哦，这刚刚那个，对你，
所以你看过了吗？
这个是。
他们设计各种样子。第1个是2011、2012、2013。是一个下楼梯的。不是有一个？
卡了。
这是卡的吗？
这是卡的。
还会卡哦。
那卡了。
那卡啊，我要怎么办？关掉，重开。
完了。忘记了。
被控制掉。
完了，你要先暂停，直播先暂停。
没关系，应该蛮快的。我们这是走那个啊，走哪一个接电话的？ 不然还有什么可以做？接电话是要去哪？去右边。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
PPT 倒了，
没关系，算了。
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Yes, truly a room worth admiring, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
回到原本的。
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her. This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself, to put your work aside, to let her back into your life. She's been waiting. That's her, Stanley.
Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Gotcha. Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here. This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley. Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him. And every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence. Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life. But in his mind, he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful. And each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him. And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly. So he went further. He imagined that he came to 2 open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold. As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable. It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time. But there is no answer. How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets. The more he forgets which life is the real one. And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer. That as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
我怎样？
不知道。
已经点了。等多久啊？
他应该就是不按没办法过，然后我按了他就开始说，
啊，对，会追你这样。
对，他说你看你还是按的。
好，我休息一下。
他应该不会理我吧？应该是不会理我。
喝饮料。这边看有点头晕。
自己玩的人还好，我是还好。
主要是那个画面转太快了。
对啊，而且他走路也很快。
嗯，那转太快，如果转慢一点就好。
好了，我觉得可以按。我觉得应该是怎么样？应该就是要按。
You see? Does he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand? Every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself. How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself? I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I...
我都怪怪的，我不知道，这是我坏掉了还是他故意的？他故意的。
故意的。
走了。刚才是接电话。
对。
那我们还有什么？
The meeting room. Yes, that's where everyone would be. Stanley just needed to get to the meeting room, and from then on, he would never be alone ever again.
现在去跳那个吧。
好。其实我们刚刚那个博物馆没有走完。
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
可是我觉得博物馆还。
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow, yes, this room. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
不是那一条，是这一条，是这一条。
啊，这一条。啊，他等一下会升上去到对面那个嘛？啊，我升上去的时候看可不可以跳下来。
好啊，还是你知道到中间就可以跳过去？
可是他好像他有栏杆啊，不然先走吧。
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. What? Really? I was in the middle of something consideration for others. I'm that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why? I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance.
而且对，还有一个楼梯往下的那种，对，那个是左边的门吧？对，还是要去老板的办公室。哦，
哎呀，
他又要
Now
讲了。
listen carefully. This is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
怎么样？怎么样？怎么样啦？
等一下哦。
怎么样了？
他都说红色的。
怎么办？然后我们等一下还是要走蓝色的。
对啊，反正都可以再一次。
对啊，那我们先走红色。
可是我觉得红色还有可能会回到正轨，蓝色可能就直接让我死，就又破一个结局。
那就先走。
好，红色嘛。
那等一下再走是蓝色。
Oh, thank God you are willing to listen to me. Do you see that I really have wanted you to be happy all this time? The problem is all these choices. The two of us always trying to get somewhere that isn't here. Running and running and running, just the way you're doing right now. Don't you see that it's killing us, Stanley? I wanted to stop. We would both be so much happier if we just stopped. And I think I have a solution. Here, let me show you. What do we want? What are we looking for? Here. Yes. Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it? If we just stay right here, right in this moment with this place, Stanley, I think I feel happy. I actually feel happy.
干好多种选择。掉下去，再掉下去。
好，先掉，先掉。
不行，不行，不行。哎。
No, wait. Where are you going?
他是叫我。他是叫我。
Where were we?
他是叫我一直待在这里。
我没看。
这不知道什么写。没有，继续再出来就不一样。一样。
Oh no! Stay away from those stairs. If you hurt yourself, if you die, the game will reset. We'll lose all of this.
这是红色的。
Please, no, Stanley, let me stay here. Don't take this from me.
他叫我掉下去，真是。
哎，真的。
还是这就一个结局了？红色，但是红色的门也没有比较好，那到底想怎样？
Please, Stanley, think about what you're doing.
对啊，不然这样能干嘛？
可能我不管走哪一个门都是，就是会有一个结局，我觉得这样比较好。不然如果又重回主线的话，会就没有结局。不然走了。好。叫。好。Wee!
No! Oh, thank God. You lived. You had me worried there for a moment. Now, can we please get back to the other room?
他就喜欢这个房间，不管再去下一次。这是什么？这是什么？这个我就是要这样玩，是不是？
对啊，没地方坐。
No. No, no, what are you doing, Stanley? Please, I'm asking you not to take this away from me. I can't go back to what I was before. If you die, we'll both go back. Why are you doing this? Stanley, let's go back to the other room. Can you do that for me? My God, is this really how much you dislike my game? That you'll throw yourself from this platform over and over to be rid of it? You are literally willing to kill yourself to keep me from being happy. Am I reading the situation correctly? Or maybe you're just getting a kick out of it. I don't know anymore. I just wanted us to get along. But I guess that was too much to ask. It looks like you wanted to make a choice after all. Well, this one is yours.
Bye-bye.
Is it over? It's going to restart, isn't it?
心灰意冷啊！心灰意冷。现在去蓝门还是？我先休息一下。先休吗？你休息一下。干嘛要干嘛？
小晕。
哦，你有晕哦？
看多少？就半小时。哦，好，休息。好，休息一下。
干，你竟然晕了，不是不会晕车？
什么晕？你要暂停吗？这样可以继续吗？
不行，它就会变另外一个档。我先把刚才，
我先存一个档好了。我先存一个档。
好，我等下换你玩好了，这样就不会晕了。
先暂停。